we are going to talk about World War I. First of all, I want you guys to tell me some adjectives you would use to describe war. Sad. Anybody have anything else? Scary.
Or angry or mad.
Angry or mad, that's a good one. Miles. Violent. Two. Did anybody have anything else? One more? Disturbing. War is all of those things. And one thing that is definitely peculiar about World War I and a lot of wars is that it all started because people were obsessed over getting power. And so when I think of World War I think of just the countries in Europe becoming crazy over things that didn't matter because they wanted power over other countries and they wanted to build up their status over in Europe and get more power over every other country. Today we are going to focus on the causes of World War I. And I have this activity, and what I want you guys to do is, you see the causes listed there on the sheet of paper? Take the first letter of each word, so A for alliance, M for militarism, and down at the bottom they make a word that defines World War I. And remember we said the people in Europe were crazy and they were obsessed over power. So remember that as you're trying to figure out what the word is. Do you guys understand how to do it?
They're not in order.
They're not in order. But I did do the first one for you, so the N is the middle letter. I don't know. I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes. You can figure it out.
No.
I think you guys are on the right track from what I hear. You have it. All right, guys. I'll give you guys 30 more seconds.
We got it wrong.
You guys done?
We got it wrong, guys. It's not Romania. We got it wrong.
All right. You guys are fast. You did that way faster than how you would. The word is mania, so awesome job. Girls did. So, mania is defined as an obsession over something. And so the reason I use the word mania is, like I said, the countries over in Europe before the war started were obsessed with building up their militaries, with making alliances for other countries so they would be stronger if war happened. And so they just became obsessed over getting more and more and more power. And it was horrible because it resulted in it. So I have the word conflict here, and what does that mean to you guys? It kind of goes along with what we were just talking about. Josh. Yeah, usually when people are in conflict, it will result in a fight or a disagreement, argument, right? And so that's how the war started. Now I'm going to show you guys, I'll take it back from you really fast, a video that kind of shows what was going on over in Europe before the war started. I think y'all will enjoy this, so listen closely. Can everybody see it?
There was a time when Europe was a pleasant place, with a well-based economy and commerce. It didn't last very long because of bitter competition between Britain and Germany.
Hello, scallywags. I have the largest raw materials industry in all of Europe. Just try our revolutionary ideas. We will leave you in the deuce.
Tensions are worse with each passing day.
Is our super secret alliance still on? Of course. Super secret alliance has been around since 1882. It can either be a pro.
So there's things going on before the war ever started. Alright, so you can see that there was a lot going on between different countries, right? We're going to talk. You guys get the basic idea. And this is before the war ever started. So first of all, we're going to talk about the alliances. And you saw from the video that we just watched that the different countries were secretly forming alliances, so they were joining together and saying, okay, in case we go into war, are you going to have my back? Because I have your back. And so they were going to come together if a war were to break out in Europe and fight with each other so that they would be stronger against whoever was attacking them. And the countries that actually banded together, there were 2 different alliances. Great Britain, France, and Russia joined together in case there was a war, and then Germany, Austria, Hungary, and Italy. Remember what an alliance is. It's when the countries banded together. All right, everybody listen, banded together so that they would be stronger when war came. And this kind of just shows you this map right here. Like in the red, those were the 3 countries that banded together, and then you see the blue here. They were in alliance as well. All right, everybody, next point. So we talked about alliances, and now we're talking about nationalism. Nationalism was another big cause of the war. And it is defined as, listen closely, a sentiment based on common cultural characteristics that binds a population and often produces a policy of national independence or separation. You're like, what? Right?
I don't really know what
Nationalism among countries created a competitive type rivalry. So basically, in summary, nationalism was when the countries believed that theirs was the best. Everything their country stood for was the best. Their culture was the question.
that was just like the thing about Germany was
Yeah, with the Nazis, exactly. And so nationalism is they have such high thoughts about their culture and they think other countries are below them. And it was not a good thing before the start of the war. Here's a picture to kind of show you nationalism and what it did. See, this guy's going off a cliff. Basically, it's like we're going to go down together for our country because everything we stand for is... What are the two causes that we've talked about so far, y'all? Hold it up straight so they can see it. You're helping me. I appreciate it. Imperialism is when countries have control over smaller countries. They have control over other parts of the world. So before the war started, Great Britain was the highest ranking country for imperialism. So I want you guys to remember that it was Great Britain. What was it? Great Britain. Awesome. That had the most control. And this is a picture that kind of shows you what imperialism looks like. You see how all the different countries in the hands are trying to take a slice of the pizza, which is Africa here. So imperialism is when countries are trying to take control of other countries. And before the war started, a lot of this was going on, and they were countries like Germany were going in and trying to take over other countries, and they had no right to, and they had no reason to, except that they were obsessed with their power, like we talked about before. Does this make sense to you guys? Okay, so what are the three now that we've talked about?
imperialism, nationalism, and
Alliances. Awesome. Militarism. Who thinks they know what this is about?
It's about who has like the most weapons and bombs.
Weapons, soldiers, military overall, the army, the navy. It's interesting that the European countries started building their militaries before the war ever started. So they're building their militaries up, getting more people to fight. They're getting more weapons. And the war hasn't even started. They're just doing this because they think war might come and they're preparing themselves for it. And remember that Germany had the biggest military. Their army was the largest, so they had an advantage when the war started. So let's review. Now what are the four? You guys get the causes.
Imperialism, and military alliance.
Yes. Militarism. I have trouble saying that word because I want to say militarism. But it's militarism. And that just shows you a picture. So many soldiers were being recruited to fight before the war started. Okay, guys, this is the last one. Assassination. So what peaked the start of the war, what actually caused war to start, was the assassination of the Archduke of Austria. So, and his name is Franz Ferdinand. There's a picture of him right here. And what happened was he and his wife got shot by, I guess, soldiers or people from Serbia, and then they declared war, and that's when everything just broke out and went crazy.
Archduke.
It meant that he was heir to the throne. So he was kind of like a prince. So he wasn't king of Austria yet, but he was heir to the throne, and he got assassinated. So then the war began. But we were focusing today on just what started, and it's very cool to see how, it's very cool and very sad, as you guys can see that basically World War I had no purpose except that the people in Europe wanted more power. They were greedy, they were obsessed with owning other countries, with making themselves the leading power in Europe, and did that really matter? No, it didn't really matter, and it's just sad that so many lives were lost because of it. Yes, eventually lots of countries got involved, in the U.S. being one of them. But at the beginning of the war, it was just strictly Europe. All right, get out your note card and your pencil. Everybody's got one.
Lusitania was part of the 100 line, which was a rival of the White Star Line, which...
Okay, guys, who knows the 5 causes that we talked about? If you think you can, I want you to write them, yes. Oh. And remember the word that we thought of in the beginning, mania. Mania is the word, yeah. Miles, are you writing down the causes?
Spelling count?
I'm sorry? Spelling doesn't count as long as you get the idea and it looks I would like the word you're fine. And this isn't a quiz, we're just reviewing. So don't worry. Remember Mania to help you out. Just do your best. We're going to go over the answers at the end.
Oh yeah.
Keep it really quick. I have a couple more questions from the lecture that we're going to go over.
wasn't as hard.
That's because you guys were listening.
It wasn't the Allies.
Alright, I'm going to give you about
These teams had the
30 more seconds for this, and then we'll move on. Alright, I have 4 more questions for you guys to see if you were listening. And we're going to go over them together. Everybody listen? Everybody listening? What is it called when countries band together to fight? Write it down. Don't say it. Write it down. Write it down on your note card. Try not to blurt out the answers.
It wasn't because
No. We're gonna go over them afterwards, but for now, just silently write down your answers.
and then they decided that they just wouldn't award really fast as they did. So they started.
All right, number 2.
So it was
Which country was the leading power in imperialism, which means they had the most control over other countries?
Alright.
Write it down.
And Troy.
Which country was the leading power in imperialism, which means they had control over other countries? Remember?
Which team did they join?
Got it?
Thumbs up or down? Do you agree or disagree? Alright.
10, 9, 8,